English empiricists such as John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume, on the other hand, argued that experience is the sole source of knowledge. Locke posited that the mind is initially a blank slate, tabula rasa, and that all knowledge is acquired through sensory experiences. Hume, however, argued that even experience is insufficient for attaining certain knowledge, that concepts like causality are merely habits, and that absolute knowledge cannot be attained, thus leading empiricism to radical skepticism. This rationalism-empiricism debate set the stage for Immanuel Kant's epistemological synthesis. Section 2. Ghazali and Intuitive Knowledge, Attaining Truth in the Light of Revelation. Imam Ghazali died 1111, one of the most significant figures in Islamic intellectual history, offered a unique and profound approach to epistemology. An intellectual and spiritual crisis he experienced at a certain period of his life led him to skepticism and prompted him to question the certain sources of knowledge. Section 2.1. Ghazali's Skepticism and Quest for Truth. In his autobiographical work, Al-Mundid Meni al-Dalal, Deliverance from Error, Ghazali clearly articulated the limitations of the senses and intellect in acquiring knowledge. He stated that the senses can be deceptive, example, stars appearing small, and that the intellect can fall into contradiction and cannot grasp absolute truth on its own. This skepticism led him to search for certain knowledge. In this quest, Ghazali examined the methods of theologians, mutakaliman, philosophers, falasifa, and esoterics, bataniya, but found that none provided complete satisfaction. In this process, he discovered the importance of Sufism and intuitive knowledge. Section 2.2. The Eye of the Heart and the Role of Intuition, Inspiration, and Unveiling. According to Ghazali, beyond the intellect and senses, there is another source of knowledge, the heart. The heart is not merely a physical organ, but also a spiritual center of perception, the eye of the heart. This eye of the heart, through Sufi purification and spiritual discipline, riyada, gains the ability to directly perceive divine truths. This type of knowledge is called inspiration, ilham, or unveiling, kashf, and possesses a superior and more certain quality than intellectual inferences or sensory experiences. Ghazali argued that this knowledge possessed by prophets and saints, aliyah, reaches truths inaccessible to ordinary reason. Section 2.3. The Position of Revelation as the Absolute Source of Knowledge. For Ghazali, the ultimate and absolute source of knowledge is revelation. The Holy Quran and the Sunnah provide certain knowledge on metaphysical realities, the afterlife, prophethood, and the attributes of Allah, topics that transcend the limitations of human reason. Revelation guides where reason and the senses fall short and presents a complete picture of truth. Ghazali emphasizes that affirming revelation and submitting to it are fundamental conditions for attaining certain knowledge. There are many verses in the Holy Quran that emphasize the importance of knowledge and contemplation. For instance,
إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب.
Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of the night and day are signs for those of understanding. Exegesis. This verse states that the order in the creation of the universe and the cycle of night and day are clear signs for people of understanding regarding Allah's existence and power. In Ghazali's approach, this implies that reason can gain knowledge about Allah by observing creation, but this knowledge needs to be completed by revelation. Hadiths also emphasize the importance of knowledge and contemplation. Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim male and female. Ayan Maja Muqaddima 1.17. This hadith shows that knowledge, in both religious and worldly senses, is a fundamental duty for every Muslim. In Ghazali's epistemology, this supports the necessity of pursuing not only transmitted, naqli, but also rational, aqli, and intuitive knowledge. Ghazali's understanding of knowledge is a holistic approach that accepts the limitations of sensory and rational knowledge while emphasizing the central role of the heart and revelation in reaching absolute truth. This offers a different perspective, especially from modern Western philosophy's focus on rational and empirical knowledge. Section 3. Kant and the Limits of Reason, the critical epistemology of reason. Immanuel Kant is one of the most influential thinkers of modern philosophy and presented a revolutionary approach to epistemology. He sought to bridge the deep chasm between rationalism and empiricism, arguing that knowledge originates from both reason and experience. Section 3.1. Transcendental Idealism and the Structural Conditions of Knowledge. The foundation of Kant's epistemology is transcendental idealism. According to him, knowledge is not merely sensory experience. The mind plays an active role in structuring experience. The mind possesses certain innate, a priori, independent of experience, forms and categories. Space and time are a priori forms of intuition that organize sensory data. 12 categories, such as causality, unity, and plurality, are a priori categories of understanding that transform sensory data from experience into meaningful knowledge. According to Kant, knowledge is constructed through these a priori forms and categories. That is, the world comes to us as raw sensory data, and we organize this data according to the structure of our minds. Therefore, the world we can know is the phenomenal world, appearance. That is, the world structured by our minds. Section 2.2. Distinction between phenomenon and noumenon, limits of knowledge. One of the most significant outcomes of Kant's epistemology is the distinction between phenomenon and noumenon, the thing in itself. The phenomenon is the world we can experience and know through our senses and intellect. The noumenon, on the other hand, is reality as it is in itself, not as it appears to us. Kant argued that the noumenal realm, encompassing metaphysical concepts such as the existence of God, the immortality of the soul, and freedom, is beyond the human intellect's capacity for knowledge. Reason is valid only within the realm of experience and falls into illusions when it transcends this realm.